Hey everybody. Hey everybody, this is Jay Gotra. I'm here with Joe Kean, and this is our first episode for Earned Life podcast. The purpose of this podcast is to be able to share the vision of leadership, share my core values, principle of success, and really talk deeply about why leadership is so important to me and this journey of leadership that my life has been created on. That's it. Joe, say hi.
How you doing, everybody? Excited to be here. Excited to kind of start this whole process with you and see where it goes. Um, I feel like you kind of like want to touch more on the emotional side of leadership, right?
Yep.
And really, I think this is about getting to know who you are at a deep personal level and how you developed all these techniques and processes for leading people or just leading yourself, right?
Yes, leadership always starts from within, right? But before we go into any conversation, I always start with the leadership pledge. And I think Joe's not aware of this pledge, so he's going to do it for the first
Do
time
I
with
pledge
me.
allegiance? Oh,
Okay.
all right.
Yes, absolutely. Right. So when I lead teams, if I work in an organization, I have these core values and principles of success, and I have this pledge. Okay. And this is, pledging to a mission basically. And the mission is leadership because if an organization can become strong with leaders that influence themselves and others, it naturally is a place to grow, right? So let's start with the pledge. Okay. It's something that always like gets my mindset in. It's kind of what I've used to bring my in. It's like what I do to dial myself in,
Hmm.
to focus and do that. So you ready?
Okay.
All
Well,
right, let's do it. Okay. At home, if you want to repeat it, repeat it. I'm telling you, it feels amazing to get to the other side of it. Ready?
so I'm going to repeat after
Yes,
you. Okay.
absolutely. You're going to repeat after me. Ready?
All right, go.
All right. Today I pledge
Today I pledge
to give my all
to give my all
with purpose and passion
with purpose and passion
on every call.
on every call.
I'll help my team
I'll help my team
go any length.
go any length.
My PMA
My PMA
will give me strength.
will give me strength.
I'll share my values.
I'll share my values.
I'll see things through.
I'll see things through.
Leading myself
Leading myself
is what I do.
is what I do. I don't know what some of those things. PMI.
PMA, which
PMA.
stands for positive mental attitude, right?
Okay.
So, yes, I'll take a minute to kind of break this pledge down because it's important because this is the foundation of leadership, right? So, his pledge isn't a statement, it's a mindset. It's a reminder that leadership is earned every day through action, attitude, and accountability. Every line represents a piece of a leader you choose to be when no one's watching. It's not about being perfect, it's about being present, committed, and real. This pledge lives at the heart of earned life, where leadership is built on discipline, integrity, accountability, and loyalty. It's not a theory, it's practice. It's not talk, it's proof. Every time you speak this pledge, you're recommitting to living a life that's earned, not given, a life that inspires others to rise with you. Now, let's break down the line, right? So, the first line today I pledge to give my all. That stands for leadership starts in the mirror. It's a choice, not to be better than others, but to be better than yourself from yesterday. With purpose and passion on every call, every interaction matters. Every word shapes culture. Passion and purpose turn ordinary moments into leadership opportunities. I will help my team go any length. That represents a true leader's go first, not to show strength, but to create safety. You lift others by believing in them before they believe in themselves. My PMA will give me strength. What that stands for is PMA, which is positive mental attitude. It isn't pretending everything's fine. It's choosing to stay grounded, grateful, and focus forward when life gets messy. It's the quiet strength that fuels consistency. The next line, I will share my knowledge. Great leaders don't guard wisdom, they give it away. Sharing knowledge builds trust, confidence, and legacy. The next line, I will see things through. Follow through is where respect is earned. Anyone can start strong. Leaders finish what they begin, even when it's inconvenient. And then last but not least, leading is what I do. This final line isn't just a declaration, it's identity. It's who you are at your core. Someone who shows up, sets the tone, and leads by example. And that is the pledge that I teach to any organization that I want to be a part of and scale and grow. Because that, when we all believe in something bigger than just us, which is paying it forward and um, just creating a better version of you,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's like and then it's one of the things like believing in others before they believe in themselves. When you do those little things, it changes it. Like when you can build somebody to feel like they're better than what they think they are, right?
Mm.
And when you see that belief become reality, the joy that I get, it's why I do leadership.
Mm. Where do you think that comes from? That feeling.
Well, I mean, you know me on a personal level, going through this process. I mean, it obviously comes from this need to wanting to create value, right? And it's about seeing others grow. And honestly, it comes from being a servant leader my entire life, right? Serving others, and in some capacity, I lost myself in that because when you serve others and give, you see somebody grow. You get short term gratitude, from that growth, and it's addicting. It's like dopamine hit, right? Like it's addicting. It's
Mm.
addicting to stop working on yourself to focus on others, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in some capacity, like when this was built in me when I was young, um, it was done for the wrong reasons. But what I build from it, right, because it was done out of like feeling less about who I was as a person, and it was done for the sake of needing to find safety, right? But like the lessons that I learned and how I applied them in my life, and like yes, great, I didn't pay attention to taking care of myself because I was giving more to others. But helping others grow, like planting a seed and creating value and seeing others become a better version of them,
Mm.
I mean, that's not wasted work. That's still God's work, right? Like the way I did it by sacrificing myself wasn't good, right? But the work that I did was still valuable, and it still is valuable.
Mm. Yeah, it's interesting how like in the world we live in, it's like creating value for other people is
Mhm.
like top
Yep.
top of the food chain, right? Um, but sometimes maybe if we didn't live in like the society we live in, like some other utopia world where there was no money, and it was just like we just like do what we enjoy doing, and everybody loves each other or whatever, right? Then in that society, it's like, yes, creating value and like helping people achieve their goals is also an amazing thing. But I wonder if it's like more valued in this society because of like businesses and like doing, what I'm saying, and the money thing. Do you think it is, or you think it's like it's equally as important in either scenario? Or these just ridiculous questions, or what?
Well, well, I mean, these are the first layer of questions that come out, right? Like um, value isn't external; it's internal.
Hmm.
Do you understand? It's like when I'm talking about building value, I'm not talking about the $1 billion of revenue I generated, right? I mean, that's the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
Make sense? The value is inward. Like if I feel valuable about myself, right? The way I would trade my time, the way I would trade, my emotions, right? It's what gets you the outcome from
Mm.
that value, right? If I feel and believe that I have a perceived value that's high, okay, what I would charge for my service will be higher with that. Naturally, I would make more money anyways,
Mm. Well, that's
right?
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, if there was no money, then what is the
The
chart? What
value
is
is
the?
still your heart,
It's
right?
still
How,
there, right?
exactly. The value is still how you see yourself, right? Leadership is influence, but it's influence on your own self and your own habits.
Mm.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like leadership isn't I lead a group of people. Leadership isn't I have built so much revenue, right? Leadership is, I've learned and understood who I am, where I come from, how am I driven, and how do I influence myself when things change, things become difficult, things become hard. How do I lead myself through those circumstances? That's what leadership is. It's just very freaking confusing, and it's so broken what people think leadership is.
Hmm.
And it's just sad, because if everybody was more focused of leading themselves, okay, and again, going back to the core values, taking accountability of their actions, okay, we'd live in a different world.
Mm. Personal responsibility type of thing.
Yeah, of
Yeah.
course, accountability is just that,
Yeah.
personal responsibility.
Yeah. 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 That's definitely lacking in the world, I think. Um, but I think it's what you're trying to do. It seems is to redefine what leadership is, because it has an established definition of like a hierarchy, like directing people. But I think you're trying to let people help people understand that they need to first understand themselves and lead themselves, meaning understand where they want to go, what the goals are, the steps to get there, and then if you can get somebody hyper focused on that path, then pieces of the puzzle kind of just fall into place. People get attracted to you, and then they see you trying to achieve your goal, and they want to help you, and da 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 da, da, and then it just kind of flows along. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's part of it, right? It's
Yeah.
funny, like, you're giving me more of a rational explanation of what a leader would do, right? That's what
Yeah.
I do when I'm leading teams, and people come to me, when high performing leaders come to me, and they're stuck, right? Where
Mm,
it's the law of lid, right? So they're always stuck, and when leaders come to me and they're stuck, I always see the same thing. They're not stuck because they're not capable of building what's next. They're stuck because internally they're having a conflict with themselves,
mm,
okay, and that conflict, until somebody can help them resolve that conflict, okay, they cannot move forward, right?
mhm,
And sometimes that conflict comes from lack of knowledge,
mm,
okay, and leadership is being there to provide guidance. It's like fellowship, right? It's like discipleship. It's like being there to show them the paths that you've taken, okay, and look at it to see what that looks like. Leadership is empathy, right? Is to understand that that person is stuck, and there was a time in my life that I was stuck in that same way, right? And understanding of like, what am I doing to get out of that, right? But
mm,
last but not least, leadership is about emotional intelligence. It's to understand that, if I understood myself and where my pitfalls are, okay, and looked internally to like resolve those weaknesses over time, not look at them and judge and create judgment, right? But understand your weaknesses as part of you, right?
mm.
Like that, if your weaknesses have also created many strengths, right? So leadership is like being there to make sometimes it's just saying, hey, what you're thinking is okay.
Yeah. Embrace all the parts of you, and when they come up, just be like, all right, that's that. Deal with it in that moment. Keep moving, right? Like just be okay with it.
Exactly. It's understand what you're saying, embracing parts of you that
Mhm,
is good, and understanding that there's parts of you that need to improve, but
mhm,
the parts of you that need to improve isn't what really defines you. People see you for
mhm.
your talent.
Right, right.
People see you for your greatness. We are the only ones, like, what I'm saying? Like, we are the only ones in our head that see ourselves, right? In this negative light. Like, but
Mhm.
others see us for the gift that we have, right?
Well, others will see us how we see ourselves sometimes, right? Like if we portray and say these things to ourselves, like, oh, I'll never be a millionaire or whatever, like then everybody around us says, well, I guess I'll never be a millionaire, right? Like, I mean,
Yeah, but I'm saying yes and no, right? I think it's almost like it's people look, the reality is we judge ourselves the hardest, right?
mm,
So people look at yourself as, let me process that, because there's a deeper thing there, right? Like,
hmm,
okay, I'll give you a shared experience there, right? There is probably thousands of people that I have impact, that see me as this amazing, great leader that will, you've seen it happen always.
Yeah.
Like I'll walk
We've
around the
literally been
street,
out to dinner and like somebody will walk up to you and be like, "Oh, you helped me out like
you
10
changed my
years ago."
life,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
You
literally.
change I
Literally.
now, and it's funny. And
It's
then
happened
think
at
about,
least a couple times.
exactly. And what's the
Yeah.
first thing I always ask him? What are the 7 principles of success?
Oh, is it? That's what you
Yeah, I
say?
do. I was like,
Yeah.
remember the pledge and
Yeah.
the discipline that I taught you?
Yeah.
It's a new leader that I'm starting to work with that I hadn't seen in 15 years. Like that, he now has a new product and he's ready to grow. And he was like, Jay, I need your help. Like, can you please help me? And the first thing, it's funny, he's like, oh man, when we were here, we're growing like this, it was like this. And back then there were 4 principles of success. And I was like, do you remember the 4 principles of success? And he remembered 2 out of the 4. And he's like, man, the other 2 I forgot. Like, dude, that was important. Like that would have like helped me get through, through
Mm-hmm.
what I'm not feeling. Right. But the reality of it was that it's like, yes, like, we're getting distracted from the
Yeah, yeah,
core
yeah.
topic, which is, the point that I'm trying to make is people see you in the right light. But what you see yourself is who you attract yourself to, right? So, for example, for the
Mm-hmm.
longest time, I didn't feel worthy of being a leader. Okay. Even though I did so many things right, I would look at the few things that I did wrong and I would judge myself on those wrong things. But the reality of life is when I was judging myself from those things, guess what? The people's opinions that I gave a shit about were people that were making me feel less. But it didn't mean there weren't other people that existed out there that believed in me, that believed in my leadership, that needed my support, that saw value in me. But because in my heart and in my soul, I didn't feel value for myself. So guess what? I attracted myself to every person that would prove that story right. Okay, which
Mm-hmm.
is I am not worthy. Okay. It didn't mean there weren't other people that didn't see me as worthy. Okay. It only meant that because I didn't see myself as worthy, I only saw the people that proved that point to me. Right. So, yeah, you're right. The law of attraction exists, right? Which is like, yeah, I'm now looking at people that are hurting me, because I am hurt myself, right?
Mm.
To say, like, this is what I deserve, right? But at the end of the day, the work you put up and the people that I've cared for and the charisma and the energy I've created and the people that love and appreciate what I did for them, that doesn't go away.
Mm.
You see what I'm saying? So that's like leadership is about you finding you.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that brings us to like what we were talking about the other day, right? Like the conflict you were talking about, like with it. That's something like you believe that everybody can be a leader, right? At a certain level of like for themselves or internal, right? That's what you're talking about, right? And if somebody is not, I don't know, showing that I don't know path or drive or in going in that direction for whatever they're trying to lead themselves to, then there's some sort of conflict there, right?
100%. I don't
Okay, so
believe that they have to be. I don't believe that they should be. They have to be. You see
yeah,
what I'm saying? I'm saying
because there's no
leadership
clear
is
path, right? It's
there's
like
never a clear path.
yeah.
You
Well, I mean,
understand?
like there's a goal, right? Like the goal isn't clear enough. Is that what you're saying?
No, the goal is simple. Live your fucking life the best way you want to live it.
Mm-hmm.
But you hold the journey, you hold the destination, you hold the keys. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
Like leadership is about influencing yourself to live your best life. You understand what I'm saying? Like, if you're not influencing yourself to what's the things that you care about, those are the regrets that you get over time,
Mm-hmm.
right? The regrets come from, I've never had somebody, regret things that they accomplished that they cared for in their life. They always regretted when they didn't lead themselves in the right way and it created chaos in their life. And then at the end, they said, man, I wish I would have done that differently, right? But when they were going through the moment, in sort of in the moment, learning these skill set to how do I do this the right way? How do I lead myself in the right place? And how do I become the better version of me? That's what leadership is. And, I want to correct you on this one thing you said. You said I'm trying to redefine leadership. Okay. I'm not trying to redefine leadership. I'm trying to get leadership go back to its basics,
To what it
to
really,
what it was
yeah,
before fucking all these things that took it away, right?
yeah, yeah.
Leadership was when you read Bible, what do you get? Stories of leadership. When you read the Quran, you get stories of leadership. Okay. When you read the Bhagavad Gita, you get the stories of leadership. Okay. Leaders are the people that influenced us, okay, to become better, grow. And there's years and years of history. And those leadership experiences weren't about us leading others, they were mostly about figuring out the hard times and leading yourself through the hard times. It was about, finding your values through the chaos in life. It was about using your adversity and finding faith and opportunity through it. It's about looking your bad days, okay, and being excited that it's going to create a new good day tomorrow, right? And the same thing I said, it's the conflict that you said. You can't be have dark and light at the same time.
Mm.
Okay. But I think what we always do is if we're in the light, we're seeking dark. And if we're in the dark, we're seeking light. That's the problem of leadership, right? That's the lack of accountability.
Mm. I have two things.
Go for it.
One is this, and we talked about this a little bit last night about I have this like conflict of, and maybe it's not a conflict. I don't know what it is, but there's this thing of like wanting to work with people, like to build and grow something, right? And then there's also this part of me that is wanting to um, be the leader and or create something on my own, right? And I can switch in between, right? But it always comes to a point where it's like if I go in the path of like leadership and just like, all right, I'm just going to get this done, I can plot the whole fucking thing out for however many years, and then once I check everything off the list and I get there, then I'm like, okay, that was cool. And then it's on to the next. And now I spoke to my wife, who's a psychotherapist, her, Aaliyah, and she was saying how I've done this so many times, and maybe it's not the things that I'm doing. There's something internal, right? And I'd like to get into that. And then there was what was the other fucking thing? Sorry, I'll think of it later, but we can go into that one if you want.
All right, so let's deep dive. Tell me what tell me that then. I mean, you basically just stated it clearly, like there's something internal. So tell
Well,
me what
I
is
mean,
that?
I just I don't know what to really do about it. I'm trying to be more rigid and selective on like what I choose to utilize my with my time, to moving things forward. So I am not trying to create new things in my spare time now. We just talked about usually that's what I'll do is like once I get something to uh, a good level and it's running on its own, then I'm just like, okay, what do I do now? I go on to the next. When maybe I need to stay more focused. Maybe there's a bunch of details that can be done still, or just thinking more into the future, which I'm also doing that, right? Like as far as like, so we have a private practice that's running great. We're buying a building now with your help. And but they're in this transitional time now. I'm like, okay, well, just hanging around, right?
Mhm.
um and I've just gone through this process many times. It's a feeling inside of like I'm not doing enough, or this isn't going fast enough, or like I can visualize how it's all going to play out, and I can see it happening within like the next year,
Mhm.
getting to that next goal that I set for myself, right? And I think some of this has to do like with like meeting you and just keeping myself accountable and focused. Um, but like I think there's parts of me that are kind of like scared too of achieving some of these goals. Um, and I think I'm on the right path, but like I said last night, that I feel like I kind of flounder between like the understanding of like what needs to be done, or the transition of like energy from one thing to another. Like I see it clearly on this side, I see where it came from, but then it's like, all right, how do I move that energy into this? And right now, it's moving the energy into like hyper, like being focused and confident and knowing every step. And do you know what I'm saying? So I don't know. Is there a question in there? I'm not.
I don't know. I'm saying I'm gonna let you speak, right? Because
Yeah.
I'm saying you're going through a reflection phase, right? You're reflecting on all these things, and you're saying, okay, I'm seeing, this coming to me, that I'm looking at this. I don't know why I'm anxious. So it's like self awareness. The first step of self awareness is understanding, right? Like you're understanding that there's questions you're asking that you need to deep dive. But where does that come from? I mean, something you said there, was like, I don't know, even when I'm doing everything right, I feel like, one, like I'm not like doing it enough, right? Which is like I'm not worthy enough. Okay. And the second, your fear is, wait, on the other side, if I do get everything I dream for, what does that look like? And do I even want it?
Well, I've been there before, actually, in the last business that I did, and like I got to the point where I was like, I have a good amount of money, and now what? That was cool,
Mm-hmm.
and then you just like spend money and invest, and then you move it into another business. Like I kind of like moved really fast with it, and I think I kind of fucked a lot of shit up. Uh, but to somebody from the outside, it wouldn't look like I fucked anything up, But me, I know that I could have been more strategic with some of those funds, and I could have built something on top of what I had already built. Da da da. But that's just reflection looking back, and I'm not like fucking worrying about it all the time. It's just that was
Mm-hmm.
the past. It is what it is, and now I have another opportunity to move forward. So I think that's maybe where some of the fear comes in, right? It's like PTSD of like not wanting to recreate what I've done before and like choose those wrong pathways or whatever. Um,
But that's your deep trauma that you got to work on.
Maybe.
Right? Like I'm saying, where does that come from? Remember, like it's something that I talked to you about for myself, right? Like I've created, so much value in the world, but I've always done it by putting myself in chaotic places because as in my heart, I
Mm.
never felt safe,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So it's the law of attraction, right? I even if I found myself in a safe place, I would figure out a way to get out of that safe place because to me, my inner child,
Mm.
right, would never felt safe. So, every circumstance I would connect myself to would be a place that I could feel the most unsafe, right? So in your case, you need to like deep dive that emotion. Where is that coming from? Why is it that a you've gotten to a point where you make something work, but then you feel like even though you had to go through all this fuck ups to make something work, which to be honest with you is literally the leadership way, right? You
Mm.
have to make mistakes
Yeah.
to learn from those mistakes
Mm-hmm.
to then find the next version of you
Mm-hmm.
and then have that version work to become the next version, right? That's
Mm-hmm.
literally part of the pledge. It's like, hey, become a little better than what you were yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's not about this, what does it look like in a year from now? Yes, that's the vision, that's a plan, there's a path. But what are you doing today to move towards that path, right?
Mm.
But in your head, before you can even get to that, like you need to do soul searching to understand where is that coming from? Where is it that even when things are okay, you're not comfortable? And
It
even
says
when things are not okay, you're not comfortable, right? So it's like,
it's more
where's
like,
your peace?
I mean, maybe it's all the same thing. You're saying not worthy. I just say it's like, all right, job done, bored now.
Yeah.
Is it still like,
Well,
is
so
that
it's
my
like,
excuse? Is
well,
that like a justification?
I think you're minimizing your creation.
Right. Like I could do, it could be so much bigger, but I'm just like doing almost the minimum just of the goal. Like there's like the goal, you can achieve the goal, but like there's like once you achieve the first step of the goal, there's like expansion of that goal, right?
Yeah.
And I think I don't see like it's the rest of it is like seems like boring to me. I don't know, but it's probably not.
No, and
It's definitely not,
no, I
right?
mean, the only thing that keeps sticking in my head as you keep talking, I go back to that same thing where, you said this thing, you said, what happens if I actually get to my goals? It's almost like you're afraid of actually making it to the other side,
No,
like,
no, it's not.
to like self
Well,
sabotage.
no, it's not even that. It's like I know, like I've kind of, well, I mean, I've been there at least to a point where I felt like things were really comfortable. And I was like, even at that point, I wasn't fulfilled or satisfied. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So then
Well, then you're
I
not
don't,
chasing the right goals. Do you understand?
it's
This is
not
like,
about
I
money.
mean, but
Yeah.
yes, but guess what? You say it's not about money, which I agree with you.
Mm,
But everything you attributed your success to was around money.
right. That's it. Well, and then that leads to what I've been doing over the past couple of years now with the infused with love therapy and all this other stuff, which this is the recreation,
Yeah.
right? And like saying, okay, now we need to hone it in, refine it even more, and let's try this again, but with a solid foundation of something I'm very passionate about. But I'll tell you, every time it seems like I'm fucking, this is the one, this is the but I'm also base all my fulfillment off of career as well.
Yeah.
And maybe that's part of the problem as well. Maybe it doesn't, that's not it. There's also me being a father and, you know, a husband, and like having family,
Well,
doing, having good relationships and stuff too,
so
right? That's success.
let's ask a little bit of a different question, okay? If you had $10 million and you knew that $10 million would, give you a net return and make you a millionaire, so basically
Mm.
$20,000 a week,
Mhm.
okay, which obviously is a lot of money, right, to a lot of people at
Mhm.
least. Um, and you were making that, what would you do? Who would you be? Would you still be doing infused with therapy?
I'd be doing this. I'd be sitting here with you doing this.
Okay, so then I think what
This is
you,
this actually started from when I was in that place where I had plenty of money, the
yeah,
podcast thing.
exactly.
So that's why I keep doing it. But I'm still, I think there's more structure needed.
Mhm.
And this is what we were talking about earlier too, of like having, you know, your podcast and then me doing this Infused with Love podcast, which I think you got a good point. Creating that brand, like expanding on that brand, right?
Yeah.
Um, you know, sometimes when I just talk, I figure things out. I just need somebody to talk to. But you have like the way that you talk to me, and we've said this several times before, is like you just have this way of understanding every individual that you're talking to, and you just go straight to where you just know the type of person it is, and you know how to talk to them in that language. I forget what that was called. Didn't remember, somebody said like
Aaliyah had
that's a
said that
particular.
sometime, that it's like, like I have this gift of being able to connect with people by looking at like their deeper self instead of focusing on the judgment of like their like in essence, like like I don't like, somebody could be in a tough time, okay, and
Yeah.
they call me because they're going through a tough time, and they can tell me something from that tough time that, like, if they called five other people to talk about, or a coach or even a family member, there'll be a lot of judgment on it, right?
Mm,
Whereas
mm.
I can be like, well, wait, it sucks that you made that mistake, but what made you I even get
Yeah,
to that,
yeah.
right?
You asked the
It's to
right
get to that,
questions.
a touche.
Right,
It's
right.
about asking the right question, right? And it's about the hardest part, like when you're engaging with other people, right? Other leaders, okay, is that we all have our upbringing and we all have our stories. So we judge everyone from our stories. And actually, to be
Mhm.
honest, that comes in our way of building something meaningful, because sometimes not only do we get our stuck in our stories, but through judgment, we reinforce those stories.
Mhm. Mhm.
Do you see what I'm saying? So
Yep.
it's like every lens and angle we look from, it comes from a place of judgment, or it comes from a place of a story that we're holding on to. So what I can do is, like, when I speak with you enough, like, when I coach, high performing leaders, right? What I can do is I can pinpoint where that need is coming from, right? Like in your case, like, I mean, we're gonna offline talk a lot more
No,
about
we
this
don't.
stuff,
Let's not talk about it offline. Go ahead.
no, no,
So
no. When I say
it's okay to.
offline,
I'm okay to talk
all right,
about
well, we can,
everything.
we can talk about it, but it's not about like, it's something bad that I need to talk to you about.
Mm.
It's more about, there's a lot of questions you need to ask yourself, right? So there's like this, like, process that I'll give you, that, it's like, self-reflection to understand, like, ask that question, right? Like, like, I think what happens is we spend a lot of time envisioning our plan.
Mhm.
Do you follow what I'm saying? Like a vision, and most people, when I
You're saying
ask them,
that's
like, give me
not
your
good.
vision, fuck no. Your vision isn't your plan. Your plan is how you get to the true vision,
Mm.
the true why, right? Like when I ask people, like, hey, show me what's your vision in 10 years. Oh, I'm doing this thing, business right now, and I want to take this business to 10 years and do this with it. And I say, okay, great, you do that. What does that mean to you?
Mm.
Oh, I have a lot of money. Okay, well, what does that money mean to you? Well, what do you mean?
Mm.
And then I ask the question I asked you, okay, if you had that money today, what would you do differently? Nothing. I wouldn't do anything differently. Okay, well then, what is it that you? But that's even a lie. Like, because they're just saying that because they're saying, well, if I hit my goals, I'd be okay, and I wouldn't do anything differently.
Mhm.
Bullshit. No, it's not what you would do. You have deeper things that, you're on a call with me, even though you're making money, but you're feeling less about yourself in some way, or you're just lost because you're lost in not your purpose, but in your projects.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
And also, some people may have never like hit that point where they have the financial success and like understand what that feels like. Like, cause it's always like just this goal that people, all right, like once I make $1 million, then I'm gonna like go retire or whatever, do the thing that you fucking love doing. But you get to that point and you're just like, okay, well, here we are. I don't have to worry about money. Then you do that for a while. It's cool at first. And then you're just like, now
Well,
what?
well, think about this, okay? People think that if I got money, it would solve all my problems, okay? Do you understand? Money has created more problems for me than it's ever solved them,
Mm,
okay? Why? Because today, if you're not aligned to your goals, where you're headed, what you're doing, your true why,
mm,
okay, and you're clouded in your judgment, you move forward to then getting to a point where you're actually getting money. That money will create more people that are going to come towards you and cloud your judgment, wanting a piece of that. And because the world sees value as money,
mm,
right?
mm,
So what people think is like, some of the most intense people that I've met are people that have tons of money. And they, instead of like, because if you're a warrior, the more money will create more worry for you. Oh my God, am I investing this money correctly?
mhm,
Am I, who's around me? Are they my friends? Like, I need more money because it's not enough now. People want more, right? All of this comes from something in between you, inside of you.
mhm.
Okay. And that's the place you got to go deep into. Like,
Yeah.
why is this money even important? What am I? It's the same thing, right? Like, to me, I was chasing away from my purpose. Okay. My purpose was leadership. It's like whenever I talk to people, they literally tell me, you should just be Tony Robbins. Like, well, how come you're not? Because I didn't believe what I had was valuable,
Mm,
okay, to share with the world. But at the same time, I'm building billions of dollars of revenue, applying those same principles,
mhm,
okay, and seeing value. What was that? It was me not being aligned with my vision. I was making all this money, but it was taking me away from my values. My
mm,
values wasn't to take 100 people and build $100 million of revenue, right?
mhm,
My value was like learning what I'm teaching, giving that away. Now, when I ask that question, well, why are you doing this, Jay? If you had all the money, would you do it? Yes, I would.
mm,
And then when I asked deeply, well, why would you still do it? Because it's not the fucking money. And you wouldn't just make podcasts because you give a shit about making podcasts. If you had all this money and you could live a life where you could be out there doing things, why the fuck would you still do this?
mhm,
And the answer is because leadership is legacy. When I'm going to teach this and I'm going to be in the basics and I'm going to lead myself the best way and I'm going to surround myself with leaders, okay? People that believe in what I believe in and people that do the things the way I do things, I will build the next generational wealth. I would still do this not because of the money. I would do this because I want to make sure that I leave my children with this value of leadership, connect them to God, to people that believe in something greater,
mhm,
make them understand that their self-judgment is not necessary because they're good people for just who they are, for just being born. To me, that's the thing that I lost. Like, I always felt like value in leadership meant that I had to, you know be valuable to others in
mm,
order for me to have value, right?
mhm,
Whereas now I'm changing that mindset and recorrecting my thing to say, no, 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 I was valuable for just being born.
mhm,
God put me on this earth and gave me a life that's valuable. The rest is all just bullshit that the world is feeding me to
mhm,
tell me what value is.
mhm,
Value is the best life that I live,
mhm.
not the wealth that I create. And it's funny because I've been on this wealth chasing fucking journey, and it's like, yeah, more money has not made me happier. More
Right,
money took me away from my purpose.
right. And in more maybe like tangible way that people could maybe understand some of this is like if you look at retirement, right? There's this whole goal. It's like when you hit 60, you work for 30 years, whatever, you hit 65, you get your pension, you get your social security, and then you go hang out on a beach, right? And I've seen this so many times with like my dad, my uncle, like family members and stuff like that, where they just, it's like you get to that. Well, I wouldn't say actually my uncle's taken in a whole other direction, which is actually very positive, but I've seen it in many different people where they get there and they're like, that's cool for like the first 6 months, year or whatever. They don't have to work. And then they realize they are unfulfilled. And what the fuck have they been doing for the past 30 years, working for this company, doing this fucking job that they didn't even really like just to get to this point. And now there's like 65, 70 years old and they fucking can't really do anything else about it because they're going to die in a few years. Right.
Mhm.
And I mean, that's kind of like, that is something that is happening on a daily basis to people out there, right? And it's kind of, it's just that mentality
Sad.
needs, yes, and it needs to be shifted because that is not the path. You're
Mhm.
wasting time, really. That whole idea of retirement and pensions and all this other stuff is a company basically just controlling and suppressing your inner leadership to express yourself in the way that you were meant to express yourself. It's not a purposeful thing. This is
Well,
the
that's
other,
it. You
like the common understanding of leadership in companies and businesses, where like they're giving you jobs and we're providing for your families and stuff like that. Yes, that's all great in this kind of like, you know, financial society we live in, but like ultimately at the end of the day, you're not, if you're not doing something you love and you wouldn't do it if you fucking weren't getting paid for it, then you're wasting your time, right?
There's a lot of things you said there. Like, I was like, I don't know, which way to
I'm
go.
all over the place. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was yeah. I mean, I thought I was kind of staying focused on some stuff,
So
but
let's do this, right? Like, talk about retirement first.
yeah.
Okay. That's no different than a business owner wanting to make a lot of money to become successful.
Mhm.
That was never his purpose
Right,
or
right.
her purpose, right? That was just what they created as purpose along the way.
Hmm.
Same thing. It's sad. So many people say, "Oh, I'm just going to keep this good job because it provides for my family, and my purpose is my kids, so I'm doing this because of them."
Right,
Okay,
right.
like that's then they'll say, "Oh, I'm doing this for my kids." No, you're not. You're fucking doing it because you don't want to dig deep to figure out what really drives you. So it's easy to rationalize that and say, "Oh, it's because for my kids," right?
Hmm.
Well, your kids would never want you to be a broken version of you.
Right.
And then what are you doing? By you giving up your leadership, right? And I'm not saying wake up and quit your job, right?
Mm.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying build a different path.
Yeah.
But stop and look at yourself, like, where is this need coming from? Okay. And if I had to leave my kids with stability or strong leadership skills, I would rather leave them with strong leadership skills, because me teaching them strong leadership skills will create them to be the most stable person.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
understand what I'm saying? Where they don't need my money, they need my values.
Yeah.
But when I walk away from my values, take a job, so
Mm-hmm.
this way my kids can be safe, what I teach them is risk isn't worth taking.
Mm-hmm.
What I teach them is you don't live for your own mission, you live for somebody else's mission,
Mm-hmm.
right? Every time I come home and I get an award from a freaking job that I'm in, I get so happy that I'm moving up, or a promotion I get. But what you're teaching your kids is, conformity is how you get to the, opportunity,
Mm.
not by thinking outside the box or creating. Okay.
Right.
And a lot of this stuff, it takes up so much of your time that you're giving to other people, that at the end you build all this money to give to your kids, but they blow it all because you never
You
actually
taught
taught them
them
how
how.
to be leaders
Right.
and good stewards of that money.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm
Exactly.
saying? And that's the sad part. You literally create a 1A path for you that's completely different from it. Like I said, like, if somebody says, "Hey, I want to retire and I'm working this job to retire," okay, the first thing I say to them is, "Okay, what is the outcome of retirement? I want to be at the beach all the time."
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. What's keeping you from the beach today?
Right. Right.
Oh, because I got to go and
So
work
I got to
today.
go to work.
Okay, good. All right. What are you doing to then live your life? Okay, where do you live right now? Oh, I live in this 5-bedroom house. Well, if your goal is to live on the beach, then why are you in a 5-bedroom house spending all this money that you could have been putting away to your retirement, so that
Mm-hmm.
10-year goal of retirement becomes real, as opposed to increasing your life? People that are looking to retire, right, or like, create value, are also the people that care. They are built in their head. They care about what other people think about them.
Right. Right.
They care about what the community sees them as.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
care
It's
about
a
what, because
status
you've
thing.
given up on your own mission and vision.
That's all they got now.
All they got is what others think of them.
Yeah.
And how much do they have? Well, that's never going to be close to retirement. And then guess what happens? They get to the other side with all this money, but they're now scared to lose it. If they were scared to take risk to begin with it, now they're scared to lose it. Where even in retirement, they're like, oh, do I have enough? Am I going to live? Like, it's the same thing. If you don't
Mm,
solve this inner conflict that you have with yourself and you don't find out where are these things coming from,
mm.
right? You can't break those habits and patterns.
Yeah. But it's funny. It's like somebody out there listening to this right now, everything you just said, that is doing that would probably be offended by the things that you just said. Right.
But again, look, go back
It's
to saying
because
the same thing.
they have this wall.
If they are offended, that means it's more the reason they needed to hear it
Mm-hmm.
because they are taking it personal because it makes them again, they could be angry or they can be inquisitive.
Mm-hmm.
That's their brain. It's if they're going to have positive mental attitude, they're going to look at it to say, "Man, what that guy's saying has point." Yes, it's not the life I'm living, and it doesn't seem like he's trying to say it to be angry towards me. He's just telling me that there's a path for me, and you know what? Maybe this is God's message.
Mm-hmm.
Leadership is faith. You understand? You don't have to believe in God, but you have to have faith that this world is always conspiring to give you everything you need,
Mm-hmm.
right? Leadership is about feeling strongly about your place in this world. God put you here because you have a place here. And when your place is over, he'll take you away. But while you're here, do you feel like you're in the right place?
Mm. Also, just to throw it out there that like that doesn't mean that if you like work for a company, you're like not being a leader, right? Like
No.
you could be, I don't know, really good at, finances, right? And then you work for a company that aligns with like the things you believe in, and then you become the CFO or whatever, right?
Mhm.
And that's still, yes, you're working for a company still, and yes, maybe there's still some layers of like having to do certain things that maybe you wouldn't normally do if it was your company, but at least it's in line, and you have a passion for like the company and what its goal is and whatever it is, so I think that's like the best way that the closest thing to like just doing your own thing, right?
Well, but again, I go back to saying the same thing. Leadership isn't you own your own business or you start your own business and you do these things. Leadership is just knowing your why, right? So I'm not suggesting that the way people work will change, okay, in sense of like how they earn their income or it should change.
Mm,
What I'm saying is you need to deal with those inner fears. You need to deal with your inner why, right? Like if you're telling me and I sit with you and I give you an hour and we work on you as a leader to understand who you are, okay, we're digging deep to understand where are all these things coming from and then creating a clear path to say, okay, if you're telling me, okay, that you're doing this job because of your children, because your legacy and what you care for is your children and the care that you have for your children over everything else,
mhm.
then let's prioritize this job. That comes second to your family. That means
Yeah.
if there's a point for you to go to their game, okay, so they can feel that you're there as a father, okay, or be there as a mother, right? That should take a higher precedence than, hey, I'm going to take some overtime so I could put more money in the bank for them,
Yeah.
right? Because they're not seeking for you to solve problems for them. And to be honest, the more problems you solve for them, the less opportunities you give them to become their own subset of
Mhm.
leaders, right? So at the end of the day, leadership is about you knowing those values and
Mm.
then and having your North Star. So when there is a decision to be made, hey, I need you to stay here and work hard, or you might not get this promotion, okay? Or hey, I'm going to miss 3 of my soccer games if I take this thing. Is it worth it? Understanding and knowing that, and
Mm.
then creating the right path for yourself. Okay,
Mhm.
I want more time with my children. Well, if that's why you're working so you can get more time with your kids, you could die tomorrow.
Mm.
Why how about we get some more time with the kids in the calendar today? And then when you're with your kids, how about we create a system for you to be present with your children
Mhm.
because that's just as important as anything else. Leadership is about reframing your mind to know that I make decisions that suit my needs before I make decisions that suit other people's needs first.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. It is funny because everybody knows this. they know trust fund babies,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
They know what happens with that, but a lot of people are actually creating their own. Almost that's their drive. Almost is hand their kids some money or
No, their drive is their trauma. If you're a leader that you haven't worked, your drive is your trauma. And all you're trying to do is
uh,
protect your kids from your trauma. Okay.
and
So
that's
the
a
drive,
ancestral shit too.
fuck
Like
yes.
yeah,
It's I'm
everything.
saying, like,
Is
look,
you're just
this is what
passing
I'm
this.
saying to you. Like, true leadership is you working deeply with your traumas and solving your trauma so you don't pass it on to the next
Mhm,
generation.
mhm.
You understand what I'm saying?
That's where you're
Think
really
about,
caring about your kids, right?
yes, because
Yeah.
it's like you're saying to them, I've been fed this bullshit of what, society is, and this shaming systems that, that helps me self-judge and maintain myself within these box of standards, and I'm going to pass this on to the next generation. It's like, no,
Yeah.
no, no. I'm going to understand where my shame comes from, where in my life the problems came. And of course, we can't talk about all of this in a 1 hour podcast in
Right.
one time, but this is the point of this podcast, right? Is for us to come together and constantly deep dive. And I'm going to share multiple stories of how and where I had to work to get to that. But leadership is about work. Like what happens is your trauma is your motivator, and we don't even realize that. But your trauma is your true motivator. You just mask that trauma, okay, with these actionable items, so you don't have to understand that deep motivation that comes from your trauma, right? So it
Mhm.
goes like this: my mother didn't provide for me enough, my father wasn't there for me, so I'm going to create all this wealth, okay, to leave to my children so they can feel like I was there for them. But here's the reality: if you hadn't been taught how to be there because somebody wasn't there for you, you'll never be able to be there for your children until you learn what truly being there feels like.
Mhm.
Okay. So the trauma that we give our children is, you're saying to yourself, I want to make sure that I don't neglect them by giving them more money. But then guess what you're doing? You're at your job working hard while you neglect them, because your trauma is repeating a form of neglect. Even though your neglect looks different, right? Your
Mhm.
neglect comes with a lot of money, but neglect is still neglect.
Right. Right. Right.
Do you
Yeah.
understand? All of our motivation comes from our upbringing, our trauma, our experiences of life. But what we want to do is just mask them all, because when we go back to look at them, all we see is just this judge on our shoulder judging you. You weren't good enough. You didn't do this right. You could have done that differently.
Mhm.
And then
Mhm.
what happens? Your judgment turns into, anger. Fuck, I wish I would have done this differently. Oh man, I'm just not a good person. Then it turns to lack of self worth. Okay. And this
Mhm.
fucking spiral is, when you get yourself out of that, that's where success comes. When I get myself out of my head to be like, bro, it is what it is. Like, you know who you are, you're capable, you're able, you made mistakes. You will always make more mistakes, but there's no judgment that I'm going to take from those mistakes. There's lessons I'm going to take from those mistakes. And then I'm going to do whatever I can to learn and grow from those mistakes.
Yeah.
And guess what? Be fucking ready to make more.
Yeah. Yeah. You can't live in those moments. Like obviously, if something happens, you made the wrong turn or did the wrong thing. Okay, you got to process that. Give it some time. Figure it out. Try not to make that mistake again in the future. But the problem is with a lot of people is they'll like live there. That'll always be there. They're like, I fucked that up. I don't want to fuck up again. So we'll just make sure we keep that right there just so I don't fuck up again. But no, it's not like that. It's like you process through it. You understand what you did right, what you did wrong. You take the good, leave the bad, and like literally like leave it. And it's good to touch on it, be like, okay, that remember that was, yeah, I don't want to do that now. And then just keep it moving though, right?
Yeah.
Um yeah, it's crazy how we all just move through life and we think we're doing the right things, and everybody you could ask anybody with kids, be like what's the most important thing, right? They're going to say their kids, right? But like you said, their actions are not really saying that,
Yeah.
right? Their actions are saying, yeah, everybody says that you this is just what you say. Your kids are the most important. But if they really were, you would be doing all these hard things. You would be doing these deep, deep dives on yourself and figuring them out and not wanting to continue ancestral trauma or generational trauma from like your parents and great grandparents. We're all doing it at some level. And you want to minimize that the best you can. um,
Yeah.
Through therapy, through just like reflection, through having conversations, like really intimate conversations, not this top level bullshit, because you're just that's where you don't want to live there. You don't
Yeah.
want to live there because that's where it's just like, oh yeah, everything cool. Oh, it's all about the kids. I'm going to work for freaking 14 hours, you know. Um, and yeah, and then that can get deeper. There's deeper levels of that too, of like you can even start getting deeper into yourself, but then there's cultural things involved as well. Do you get, you know what I'm
Hunter,
saying? Like
it's
that we
like I
just
said to
think is
you.
normal. We think is normal, but if you really go deep, you realize, hey, just because everybody in society thinks that this thing is normal doesn't mean that it's really beneficial to my kids down the road.
It's all marketing,
I can't
man.
really think of an example of that right now. I know.
What?
Can you, like, something that like society deems as like, all right, this is normal. This is what we
Well,
do.
I
We
mean,
all do
well, think
this.
about. I'll give you tons of things, right? Got to go to college. Got to get
Yeah.
a great
Right. Right.
job.
Right.
Got to have 401k. Why?
Yeah.
Because you got to get married and you got to have kids, right?
And that's
What
what
is that?
I
It's
did. And that's what my
generation.
parents did.
That's
Yeah.
what my parents did. That's what I did. And
Mhm.
it's like, think about what I'm saying. In the grand scheme of things, we're constantly living up to the society standards.
Mhm.
You understand what I'm saying? As much as you say my kids are important to me, not many. A lot of people say that, but then that's the truth. If your actions and your words are aligned, I would know that that was true.
Like, you can't ever say, no, my kids aren't important to me. You
Well,
can't.
because
You
that's a
just can't, because
societal thing,
that's what I'm
right? Like
talking
if you
about.
said,
Yeah.
"Oh man, I had a child and I wasn't ready," somebody will look at you and say, "Wow, that you're a terrible person,"
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
that's why people feel like it's better to just leave than to stay with that reality
Uh-huh.
and to fight through that, right?
Uh-huh.
Like a lot of people have kids and then they realize this, I'm not up for this challenge, but they
Mm.
quit because that's the sad part inside of them. Somebody quit on them. So now they quit on other people.
Or quit to a certain extent, which is essentially what we're talking about, right?
That's just the
Quitting on
level of neglect,
yourself.
right? Like, look, the point is well, again, another question I ask leaders that I integrate with. I say, how much time do you spend talking to yourself? And they always say, like, oh, I think a lot of things. And I don't know. I'm saying, I'm not asking you to, not processing your thoughts, talking to yourself. Okay. Like talking to yourself. Like I stand in front of a mirror, I talk to myself. Jay, are you being a good father? Okay, tell me what you're doing that makes you a good father. Okay, bro, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Okay, that's good. Where are you letting, not with judgment, like, oh, I could be a better father and I didn't do these things wrong. It's not about going into your head and trying to find, everything negative and the sense of judgment. Let go of all your judgment. Focus on your strengths, right?
Mm.
Like I'm saying, what is, God's message is clear no matter what book you read. Okay, whether it's the Bhagavad Gita, the Quran, it's about living a pure life. It's about creating a pure version of you, a version that, like, you can heal from, to grow from. But again, with social media, with all of these things, that little time, the downtime we used to have is now all taken away. And all of that time to process our emotions and
Mhm.
clear, we are seeing the world be more far away from their core mission than ever in life. That's why I had to create Earned Life. Okay.
Mm.
It's about getting back on track. Okay. It's about creating a clear path of succession. And my succession isn't the amount of wealth I'm going to leave my children. My succession is the hard work I'm going to do internally to become the best version of myself, to understand it. So I give that version to my children with pros and cons. Hey, here's what daddy went wrong. Here's
Mhm.
what daddy could have done things differently. Here's what daddy did that he doesn't want you to take to the next level. Okay.
Mhm.
And it's about creating these new statements, right? Not the old statements. We help others succeed. Like that used to be fucking one of my old statements. We help others succeed. What am I doing with that? I am teaching my children to be codependent again, just like I was looking at worth with value instead of
Yeah.
changing
Yeah.
that to, we are good just the way we are. Okay. Or we don't need to learn, we don't need to earn our value. We don't need to, to feel valuable, right? So there are different statements that I'm recreating in my family to be able to say, whoa, 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 like the lessons I was trying to pass you on was the lessons from my trauma, but what are my new family values, right?
Mm.
And as I heal myself and find myself to understand myself deeply, I am able to build that value in my children, okay? And give them a little bit of a better path. But what I know is if I gave them all of my lessons, not my money, my lessons, right? Hey, here's a book that I read, like I'm reading Five Agreements with my children, right? And when I give them that book and I give them those values and I give them those things, that's the pure success,
Mm.
okay? Leadership is about duplicating yourself in your children by not just giving them the best version of you. You understand? Leadership is about giving them the most honest version of you,
Mm.
right? And the one with less judgment. If
Yeah.
I mess up, it's about being real.
Being
Baby,
honest with
I
it. Yeah.
messed up, right?
Yeah.
Like I'll leave you. I know we're getting to the hour time spot that we have, right?
No
But I'll
worries.
leave you with a perfect thing that I do with my children, right? One of the most perfect thing that I do with my kids is even when I make a mistake, like for example, swearing, okay? And I'm doing the best that I can, but it's still a bad habit that I'm trying to get rid of, right? Because when I get passionate, I swear. That's my thing. So, there's a time where if I swear in front of my kids, like I'll say like shoot, shit, or shoot, or whatever, right? And they'll say that's a bad word, Dad. I'm never like you should never say that, or like why do you point that? The first thing I say to them is, "You're absolutely right."
Hmm.
And guess what? That's a place where Daddy's working, okay, and he still needs a little bit more time before he can get a better, become a better version of himself, okay.
Mm.
But here's the one thing I want you to know, okay. The last thing Daddy ever wants is for you to take on one of Daddy's bad habits. Okay. I am really working hard to let go of this habit. Okay. But can you do me a big favor? Okay. Please don't pick up this habit because that would hurt Daddy the most. That I actually took one of my bad habits and transferred it to you. So you're absolutely right. Whenever I do that, just please tell me that I'm doing that. And
Mm.
again, I want you to do that in private, not in public. Okay. If I say that's a bad word, don't point it out when we're with people. I want you to point it out when we're alone, and I will accept your advice, right? But I'm learning to teach them, hey, there are boundaries that I have that I want you to be with, but you can bring up anything and you can be understanding that I, as your father, am not perfect and I make mistakes, but I want you to know that I don't want you to learn from my mistakes without making the same mistakes again. Make sense?
Hmm.
But that's a form of leadership. It's to be there for your children with the most purest version of you, giving them vulnerably and letting them decide how they judge you from it. And if they have judgments, it's okay. When my kids started judging me, like, you said a bad word, Daddy, that's not good, you're not good, I'll be like, listen, that's your judgment, that's not the truth. I am good, God made me, I am great,
Mm.
I have no need for your judgment. That's a judgment,
Yeah.
and I'll clarify them so they know when they're starting to judge, so eventually they can catch themselves judging and fix that. And so it's like, you shouldn't say that, like, what I'm saying, that's me, my trauma, me feeling less valuable version of me speaking and lashing out. That's
Mm.
not what I want to give to my children.
Mm. Yeah. Okay. I was gonna say something, but I feel like it would just like continue this on for. I mean, we could just keep going, I guess, but
Leadership is a journey, man. But again, it has to be disciplined. People need to take this thing and process this thing. And to be honest with you,
yeah.
there's a lot of stuff that I need to take. I mean, this was our first podcast. And, my first goal, the most important goal from this podcast was to be less authoritative that I am in my life, in essence, right? That's like my natural standard place. When I see people, having a challenge or facing a challenge, my hero mode kicks in. And also when it comes to leadership and I see people wavering and feeling less about themselves, my natural reaction is to help them and, move them in the right direction. But the point of this podcast wasn't that. There's a lot of content, there's a community I'm creating, and all that stuff will be there to help people sort of find that, version and give them tools, how to create their habits, how to look at world from a different ways, how to find their why. But this is more about me sharing, who I am as a person and why is that important for you to understand, right? Because again, the end of the day, the intent of this was never to point out something or to hurt somebody. The intent of this podcast is to help you understand that leadership is an inside thing. Okay. Leadership is, you craving and wanting to connect deeply with yourself and to influence yourself in a positive way. So then you can influence your next generation. Okay. And maybe even your past generation. Okay. But it starts from you listening to this, and hopefully with less judgment, because I'm not trying to create judgment for anybody, right? But a space for you to start talking to yourself, okay? To start connecting with yourself, okay? And giving yourself a chance to get to the worthy self that you already are. Like, I'm going to tell you what I tell my kids, okay? Your worth isn't defined with what you do. Your worth is already defined by who you are. Now, what you want to do with that worth is your choice, but don't let anybody make you have to prove your worth, because that's not fair to you. And it's not somebody that even God asked for. So, stay true to yourself, okay? Find your worth within yourself, but not with the things you're not good at, but the power that you already have inside of you. Your true why, your true gift. Does that make sense?
Hmm. Um, can I ask one last question?
Yeah.
All right, earned life.
Hmm.
Why earned?
I mean, it's, to be honest, the earned part is, I always say leadership is earned every day, right? Like, leadership is, I wake up, look at myself, I understand that there's one life I have that I have to live. And if I have to earn something, it's a better version of me instead of focusing on like the external things, right? So earned life to me, it's almost like a mission, it's a purpose, right? It's a group of people that come together that understand that, life's blessings, like earnings, are not the money or the status, okay? Life's earning is like the connection, the community, right? So it's bringing people together that believe in something deeper, okay, and moving beyond that. I mean, initially the meaning of earned was different to me, right?
Mm,
Earned life has been something that's been my brand for 10, 12 years. Like, if my Instagram, everything was earned life. And it's like funny because in my head, it's like that was my purpose that I always was supposed to create, but I didn't believe worthy of my purpose. So I always ran away from it. Okay.
mhm,
So finally, initially, when earned life was created, because in my head, it was about, you got to earn your life. You got to go out. You got to hustle. You got to work hard. You got to fucking build things, right? And that was the point of earn, like in my head. But to be honest with you, I believe that's why God didn't create a clear path for me to build that, because I wasn't ready as a leader to lead down that path, right? Today, I understand what earned life is. It's about, growing myself and passing on this and creating a best version of me to show to my kids that this is what life means. If you're
mm.
going to earn something in life, it's not wealth. That will come if you focus more on, you know becoming the best self.
Because I was thinking like you were saying how like you're born with value, right? So then I was thinking like, well, the earned, where does that come from then? If you're already have value, I mean, are you trying to earn it? Are you needing to earn it? Like, it was, I don't know, just made me think.
Kind of like an oxymoron, to be honest. That's why I
Kind of.
did it that way, to be like, hey, earned life. And people, it's two purpose of it, right?
Mm,
Like, when you look at it from earned life could have two sides to it, right? It's the emotional side of it, to understand yourself deeply. And it's this, um I mean, look, the reality is, this podcast of earned life may be more around that, but on the other side of earned life is this: hey, you figured out where you want to go. Okay, I don't want to work for an organization that doesn't make me happy. Well, earned life is about giving you other tools and resources to say, okay, if you are ready to take a new path, let me build you the bridge to that path, right? So earned life is at its core over time is about giving value and giving things that we can pass along, and not just me personally, but bringing a group of people that have knowledge and expertise and allowing that to be spread within a community and seeing how that community grows. When knowledge can spread cleanly amongst people, right? How do they take that knowledge and scale value from it, is what I'm curious to see.
mm,
So earn life to me is a mission, right? Like, I'm trying to earn my purpose in life, okay, by living my best life, okay? And that's what earned life is. It's a personal mission to me that I need to earn, the best version. Like, I need to create the best version of myself instead of focusing on always earning other people's value or expectation or validation of who I am, right?
Mm.
So earned life is almost like I said, it's like a mission to me to continue to go down the path that my kids will see value from, and they'll see me have worked hard for it.
Right. Okay. Ready to wrap this up?
Yeah. So to wrap this up, we're gonna end with where we started. You ready, Joe? Because now you know more about the pledge and what it means than when you started. You
Oh,
ready?
yeah. Will we say it again?
Heck
Okay.
yeah. We always start and end with the same thing. You ready?
Okay.
This time with more fucking woo, power and energy. Ready?
Okay, go.
All right, I'm gonna do it the way I do it when I meet a group of people for the first time, and I wanna transfer my enthusiasm to the next group of people and go from there. You ready, Joe?
Go for it.
Let's go. Today I pledge
Today I pledge
to give my all,
to give my all
with purpose and passion,
with purpose and passion
on every call.
on every call.
I'll help my team
I'll help my team
go any length.
go any length.
My PMA
My PMA
will give me strength.
will give me strength.
I'll share my knowledge.
I'll share my knowledge.
I'll see things through.
I'll see things through.
Leading
Leading
is what I do.
is what I do.
Congratulations, Joe. You made it through the first hour of Earned Life. How does it feel?
All right.
Love you, people. I appreciate you. Leave comments, any conversation you want to add here, anything you'd like us to talk more about, any questions I build up. Shit, if you disagree with me on something, let me know. I don't care. In sense that, it's not something that hurts my feelings. I'm more than happy to listen to anybody's perspective, understand, and grow from there. So I appreciate you. If you've given me this time, time is valuable, and thank you for it.
Thanks, guys.